Good morning, Sylacauga and surrounding areas. This is Employment Opportunities with Randy Clark, and if you happen to miss part of the show, you can catch it on the WIL Facebook page or go to YouTube, WIL TV 47, and look us up. And we got some special guests here with us today. This is Miss Julie Hibbs, a second grade teacher at Indian Valley Elementary School, and Miss Deanne Webb. She's a retired teacher and also a substitute teacher. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
How are y'all?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
Okay, let's jump right into it. Tell us a little bit something about yourself, Julie.
I have been teaching for 17 years.
Okay.
Started out in Mississippi and have taught in Alabama for about 17 years now. Well, not 17 years, about 10 years now, and then taught in Mississippi the rest of the time.
Okay, great. Family?
I have my husband. He's a youth minister. His name is Brian Hibbs. And then I have 3 children,
Okay.
a 19-year-old, a 16-year-old, and a 12-year-old.
Great, great. And Miss Deanne, tell us a little bit of something about yourself.
Well, I have 2 children who are older. My daughter's, I'm not going to tell you how old she is. She'd be mad at me. But, and my son who lives here. My daughter lives in Atlanta.
Okay.
And we've been here for years.
Okay.
So taught at Sylacauga for a number of years, and at Shelby County for a while, and at Donahoe, and at CAC even, so.
Okay, great, great. Okay, now, what made you want to be a teacher?
Well, I didn't start out with teaching. I started out with therapeutic recreation, working with special needs. And there weren't many jobs working with special needs at the time. So my husband kept encouraging me to, he said, you're really good with kids. You need to do teaching or something along those lines. So
Okay.
I did listen to him that time.
Okay, I've heard some great things about you. You're real good with your students.
Thank you.
Ian, same question?
I started out again in speech therapy, and then decided to, I wanted a job. So
Right.
I got a call to go to Chelsea, and I went to Chelsea and started teaching there. So.
Okay, and then you wound up in Sylacauga City?
I
School
did. I
System?
wound up in Sylacauga City.
Okay.
My husband and I moved over here. So
Great. Now, this concerns students and kids wanting to become a teacher. What courses in school should they concentrate on while they're still in high school to working towards their teaching degrees? Julie?
Well, that all depends on what they want to teach.
Okay.
If they like math and they think that they would be good at teaching math, then they would need to focus more on their math classes. And if they like English or reading, then they need to focus more on their literature classes.
Okay. Was there a teacher that moved you to become a teacher?
There were several.
Several?
I can remember pretty much every teacher's name
Okay.
as I came through school, starting with Miss Rice in first grade, and Miss King was a big influencer in third grade, and that's actually what I really loved to teach is third grade. And then some other teachers in high school, Mr. Butler I had for literature 2 or 3 times, and
Okay.
he was a really good inspiration too, really passionate about what he taught.
Deanne, same question. Do you have an influence?
my second grade teacher, which leads to say that you all lead the way in elementary school for the kids to love learning, and that makes a difference. But my second grade teacher, actually at Thompson, and then I had some great English teachers too along the way.
Okay. Now, Julie, in college, what degrees are needed to become a teacher?
Well, if you're starting out with education, which I did not, but if you're starting out, you would need to get a bachelor's in either, depending on what area you want, elementary ed, it would be what you would get for what I did, or higher up for, I'm not exactly sure for the high school end of it, but I know it's not elementary ed. And then if you went the way I did and got a different degree, then you would just go straight for your master's degree.
Okay. I know there's certain guidelines in the school system on how courses are taught, but do you need to have the freedom to add to these guidelines?
A little bit. The standards do say at the in the preface that it does say that these are the minimum standards. that you have to reach. So you kind of have a little bit of freedom as far as pushing the kids a little higher, or maybe, you know, keeping them right where they are. But as far as curriculum goes, we have to pretty much stick with whatever the district has adopted.
Okay. Diane, what is needed to become a substitute teacher? I mean, let me rephrase that question. Do you actually have to have a degree to become a substitute, or do you get a certificate?
You don't have to have a degree. They're asking that people are having go through some training now, which they didn't. I didn't have to do it because I was a teacher, but
Right.
it's training that they offer, and you can go in and learn. But the thing you really need to know is that you need to have a love of children.
Okay. That's the number one thing.
That's the number one thing,
Okay.
and that's for teaching too.
Yes.
Okay. What does a substitute teacher entail?
Well, you never know where you're going to be. You may get a call at 6 o'clock in the morning, or you may, go wherever they call you to go. And teachers will call you and tell you to come in and ask you to come in. And it's fun. I enjoy it. I love it. I haven't done it so much since the COVID thing going on, because I have some health conditions and I don't want to get involved with that. But
Understandable.
yeah, but it's loving the children and knowing that you're going to have to be a disciplinarian, not to the point, that you're going to do anything drastic, but you've got to be willing to step up and say, you're not going to do this.
Right.
But they've also got to know that you care.
Right. Right. As a substitute, do you get to work on a regular basis?
Yes, you can. And you can work as many hours or days as you want to normally.
Substitutes are in demand,
Oh,
aren't they?
yes, they are.
Big demand. Okay. Now, does the substitute have a to-do list when she gets to her class, or does she get her own agenda?
Teachers usually leave you lesson plans for you to do, and now with using the Chromebook so much, particularly in high school, you know what you're going to do when you get in there.
Okay. Okay. Now, this is a question I got for both of you. We'll start with you, Judy. What can the parents and the community do to help our teachers achieve their goals for our kids?
I would say donating time to the schools, coming in, helping with reading, things like that. Anything they can do to help volunteer in the school. And then also, I know that there's needs for physical needs like supplies. I know our nurse is always in need of clothing for the little kids,
Right.
for whenever they mess their clothes up. And then also the counselor is always in need of snack foods, things like that for the students who do not have snacks.
Okay. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think that's a good thing to start with there.
Okay. Well, and this is kind of a tricky question. In your opinion, what is needed most in our schools? I mean, you see what I'm saying?
I think just consistency, the consistency of students being at school every single day to learn. I think consistency with teachers being at school every day to teach. I know there's illnesses that occur, but as much as we can, and it is tiring work. You do get a little burnout, especially right around
sure.
now, but you just kind of have to push through it, and just know that the job that we have to do is helping pave the way for these students
Right.
in their futures and helping to make them successful. So I think just consistency
Right.
is really what's needed most in every area.
Deanne?
I agree. Consistency in everything that you do is, and it starts at home. Mm-hmm. The parents need to be consistent with what they expect from their children, and then it carries on into the schools.
In other words, get them there on time every day, and try to get them there every day.
Mm-hmm.
And create a positive environment at home for education.
Exactly. Get them to bed at night, where they'll be right the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
I talk a lot about the high school education, and all these employment shows I've been doing. The diploma, the paper itself does matter,
Mm-hmm.
but what a lot of these employers want to do towards the high school education, they want to make sure that you was able to stick with something for 4 years before they decide to invest in these students.
Right.
Let's talk for a minute how important that high school diploma is.
I think having the foundation that you need in order to be successful in life is really important. I mean, math is important for everyday life. You use math every day. I use math every week. We use math every day. Reading is important as well. You have to be able to read those applications. You know, if you're going to go to college, obviously you need to be able to read a textbook or articles online, whichever. And then I think just the relationships that you form in high school, also with your teachers, with your with your fellow students, I think that's important too. Learning how to get along with other people and work with people who aren't like you.
Right.
I think that's important too.
Deanne, could you talk for a minute about how important it is to graduate from high school?
I think it's one of the most important things around. It's your start in life.
Starts your adulthood.
It does. It starts your life. And if you realize the importance of maybe not, the diploma is very important, but also what you've learned, like you said, and they open doors. Even your college diploma opens doors. It doesn't have to be, you don't start out sometimes to do what you end up doing.
Right.
And so it's something that opens doors for you. And
Okay. Aren't these teachers great? I know y'all are underpaid, overworked, but thank you for the job that y'all do. We love our teachers.
thank you.
Thank you.
Join us next week. See you then.